you a boatload. But what's Seattle's favourite noise? The Puget Sound. All right, never mind. Don't matter. This is a classic. What does an alien seamstress sew with? A space needle. Oh, come off it, Captain.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Lowe's presents How to Work Out the Triceps.
Wow. Impress your guests. L&B 24-inch vanity, now just $119.
You can search hotel sites for so long that your hair goes out of style. Or use Kayak to search hundreds of hotel sites to find the best deal in seconds. Kayak. Search one and done.
More Doritos and Pepsi. This party is complete. Oh, come on. Why are you throwing in a double coverage when your Z is wide open on the deep post?
And that's why I'm after you.
Stock up for game time with Walmart's unbeatable prices. Guaranteed by Savings Catcher. Walmart. Save money, live better.
This October, when the wind blows, the Weather Channel unravels nature's darkest secrets. Every Sunday, a new tale of weather legend. American Supernatural. Premiering October 5th on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 76 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, heavy thunderstorms, low 74. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain, 80%. Friday, scattered thunderstorms, high 85. Chance of rain, 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Oh my God, the suspense is killing me.
The Blacklist returns September 22nd on NBC.
It didn't stop at the border. The snow that's been covering the mountains and trees in Alberta, Canada, now making its way into the U.S. and into the mountains of Montana and Wyoming, and snow even in the Dakotas. And it's all part of a big cool down that is happening right now. This is a look at the temperatures that we're expecting, how far away from average. 15 to 20 degrees cooler than average. Some areas where it should still be hot. Not the case. Look at North Texas. 20 to 30 degrees cooler than average heading into the weekend. It is going to be a big wake-up call that summer is coming to a close. Plus, flash flood emergency in Memphis, a car sinking and sinking fast. Rescuers on the scene trying to help this driver out. Look at the hood now going under. Coming up, the moment the driver was finally pulled to safety. I'm Chris Warren. The snowfall and the cool air, the big stories, and we will break them down for you in just a moment. But we begin with Storm Tracker Jim Cantori. He joins us from the lab tracking tonight's storm threat and heavy rain threat. Jim.
Yeah, last night at this time, Chris, we were watching some low-top supercells work their way through northeast Ohio. Right now, 4 tornadoes confirmed in northeast Ohio, 2 still preliminary. So we'll see what the National Weather Service has to say about that. The good news is nobody was hurt. I mean, these things kind of developed out of nowhere. There was no watch out until they extended it east, and then eventually these storms kind of pushed on just to the north and east of Akron. We saw the kids, the students, taking cover there at Kent State. Here's the big high. No, this is now in control, and if you kind of draw the streamlines around this, you can see how many areas it is impacting, and many millions of acres, obviously, of real estate with this high pressure system right now. And also notice too, as I'm going to put this into motion, all the low clouds that are behind the cold front. So not only was it cooler, and I mean, it just kind of gutted the humidity here, but we also brought in these low stratiform clouds just about everywhere. So that kept the sun out of you. So you couldn't even get to a place where it's like, oh, let me just feel the sun's warmth, which is still pretty strong here in early September. You can still see the snow going on up here in Wyoming, and boy, have we had some winners in the snow department. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Now, of course, with this high, we have cold air, right? The unseasonably cold air that Chris talked about. Before we get there, we got to go through the morning lows, and that means overnight temperatures are going to be very, very cold. Look at the freeze warnings in play here. Many, many areas under freeze warnings, even hard freeze warnings around Idaho Falls, so that's not good for the fall color show. Some beautiful fall colors sometimes up in this neck of the woods, especially up around the Black Hills, and I'll be interested to see what actually winds up happening as a result of this. Even frost advisories over into North Dakota and on in toward Minnesota. So some incredible stuff. Let's take a look at the radar recap. Let's go back to Wednesday, right around noontime, where that snow started coming down into the hills and the Rockies of Montana, then into Wyoming here, which is really where the crux to some of these incredible snowfalls have been. Over into the Black Hills, we went from rain to snow, back to rain today, and even the snow that came down today, in some cases heavily, was melting as it hit the roads because the sun is still coming through the clouds, believe it or not, and that ground is still absorbing that radiation. So the big winner out of all this, Little Goose, Wyoming, 18 inches. 18 inches. That's a big snow in January, for goodness sakes. That's incredible, incredible amounts of snow in that area. So the snowfall in the past couple of days, you can see where it's been pretty heavy in the big, beautiful Bighorn Mountains and the Absarokas. Not surprising, even in the Black Hills. Custer coming in with 8 inches of new snow, Chris. So September 11th. Wow. What kind of a winter are we in for? Who knows? Back to you.
Who knows is absolutely right, Jim. But yeah, something else already in September. Here is a look, an EarthCam view of Mount Rushmore. And that is a snowy scene for sure. But still, the rock's a little too warm to have snow accumulating right on them. You look at, Nick, doesn't that Mount Rushmore there, George Washington, look like there's tears coming down?
It probably looks like it. Yeah.
You know, some of the snowflakes land and they melt.
No white hair yet.
No white there. No white hair yet on the wig. Not yet. However, there is going to be possibly some white faces out of fear of the cool air that's coming.
If there hasn't been already, there certainly will be, particularly around portions of the plains. I mean, we are talking about another cool shot coming in that's going to affect a widespread area. Let me show you some of these areas that are going to see it. This big cool plunge for the central states is going to affect areas all the way from the Canadian border down into Texas. And here's what we're talking about right now as far as the temperatures. We're at 51 in Chicago right now, 56 in Minneapolis. Rapid City got up to 39 degrees today. That's almost 40 degrees below your average. We've seen 90s on this date in that area before, but with that snow and the cold temperatures, definitely a big, big change of pace. We've got another change of pace coming here for the central states as much cooler air pours in. That cold front moving toward the southeast will even affect areas from the mid-Atlantic southward. But look at this here into the south central plains, 20 to 30 degrees below your average. That's the kind of temperatures we can expect tomorrow, and we'll still see 15 to 20 degree below average high temperatures up into the northern plains. Here are the kind of temperatures we're talking about. Again, another chilly day here around places like Minneapolis and Chicago, 16, 17 degrees below your average. Bismarck will see 58, North Platte at 54. That's 25 degrees below what would be considered normal for this time of year. And then we get into Saturday, we're going to raise the temperatures a little bit, but not by much. Still well below the average, back into the 60s here around Chicago, Minneapolis, and many of those areas. Now look to the south tomorrow here with Dodge City, 52 degrees, 52 degrees, that's 31 degrees below what would be average. Even those 73-degree temperatures in Dallas are well below what would be considered average. We'll still be below average as we head on into Saturday. A lot of cool times ahead here around the central and southern plains. Oklahoma City, for example, I mean, that's cold. 62 degrees for tomorrow. Compare that with your average high of 87. We'll be closer to it by the time we get into Sunday, but 82 is still a far, far cry from it. Minneapolis, the warmest you got on September 12th, 1974 was 55 degrees. We'll be within spitting distance of that tomorrow with this taste of autumn coming in for a lot of us here around the country. Chris?
Meanwhile, and this is a big meanwhile, it is going to be very different on the West Coast. It is going to be staying warm. In fact, it is going to be hot in some areas. This is a look at the next few days through the weekend in Los Angeles. 89 tomorrow, 90s, upper 90s by Monday in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is close to the Pacific Ocean, which usually keeps it moderate and relatively cool for how far south it is. Not the case. And then in the Pacific Northwest, also going to be hot. You see the blues and the greens where the cool air is going to be, but on the other side of the Rockies, in fact, on the other side of the Cascades right here, you're going to have that heat. Because of this, you have the high pressure, and around the high pressure, you have the winds that are going offshore. They're going from the land to the water, and when that happens, you have the warm air. It's already warm, and it sinks coming down the mountains, both the Coast Range and the Cascades, and what that does, it warms even more by compression. So you're looking at some spots like Medford, 98 tomorrow, Saturday, 97. The San Joaquin Valley here, the deserts of California, white hot. That's where triple digits are more likely. 97 in Medford on Sunday. Even Seattle in the 80s will be 10 degrees warmer than average. So with that in mind, fire danger is enhanced for western Washington, western Oregon. In part, you have very dry air, and then you also have some wind. Dealing with that wind and the dry air, bad combination for fires. So if fires do start, they have a better chance of spreading, especially with these winds up to 30, 35 miles an hour, up to 40 in the Portland area. And so that is something we will watch in the Pacific Northwest. Right now, it's time to watch the number 2 video in our top 5 countdown. And our producer, Bill, might be getting 100 points for adding my video. I took this yesterday, set up a time lapse in Chicago. You see the clouds going by, some rain, the boats moving around a little bit when the wind would pick up. We're going to take a look at the number 1 video coming up, also from the Great Lakes. And look at that boat right there moving around. Here's a look, though, at the west, and the weekly drought monitor has been released today. Some areas did see a little bit of improvement in the far south because of the rain from Norbert. Did drop some rain, but California still desperately needs that rain.
Currently in our area, 76 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, heavy thunderstorms, low 74. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain, 80%. Friday, scattered thunderstorms, high 85. Chance of rain, 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
My lenses have a sunset mode, and an early morning mode, and a partly sunny mode, and an outside to clear inside mode.
New Transitions Signature Adaptive Lenses are more responsive than ever. So why settle for a lens with just one mode? Experience life well lit. Upgrade your lenses to new Transitions Signature. Visit your local VisionWorks today to ask about our new Transitions Signature lenses with Chromia 7 technology and start living a life well lit.
Ask your eye care professional about Transitions Signature lenses.
Some people think vegetables are boring. But with Green Giant's delicious seasonings and blends, we just may change their minds.
Green Giant.
Not all toothbrushes are created equal. Oral-B toothbrushes are engineered with end-rounded bristles so brushing doesn't scratch gums, and angled perfectly to remove 90% of plaque for a healthier smile. Trust the brand more dentists and hygienists use. Oral-B.
Individual style begins with confidence and the perfect new look for fall. Right now at Men's Wearhouse, buy one, get one free on almost everything in the store. Plus, get an extra 50% off clearance. Confidence suits you. Only at Men's Wearhouse.
This time of year, you just need some fertilizer with weed control and a spreader to distribute it evenly. It's not rocket horticulture.
It's not rocket grilling either, right, guys?
Getting help at Ace is like going to your neighbor.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
What if there was a credit card where the reward was that new car smell and the freedom of the open road? A card that gave you that I'm 16 and just got my first car feeling. Presenting the Buy Power card from Capital One. Redeem earnings toward part or even all of a new Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, or Cadillac with no limits. So every time you use it, you're not just shopping for goods. You're shopping for something great. Learn more at buypowercard.com.
We're the places you call home when you're away from home. 12 brands, more hotels than anyone else in the world. Like Wyndham, we're awaiting your arrival. For a chance to win $1 million, visit WyndhamRewards.com.
So this board gives me rates on Progressive Direct and other car insurance companies?
Yes.
But you're Progressive and they're them.
Yes.
But they're here.
Yes.
Are you?
There?
Yes.
No.
Are you them?
I'm me.
But the lowest rate is from them.
Yes.
So them's best rate is?
Here.
So where are them?
Aren't them here?
I already asked you that.
When?
Feels like a while ago.
You want to take it from the top?
Rates for us and them. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
More Doritos and Pepsi. This party is complete. Oh, come on. Why are you throwing in a double coverage when your Z is wide open on the deep post?
And that's why I'm mad at you.
Stock up for game time with Walmart's unbeatable prices. Guaranteed by Savings Catcher. Walmart. Save money, live better.
Right now, a recap of our top 5 videos so far. Number 5, floods around Memphis, Tennessee. Number 4, storm clouds over Ohio. Number 3, a shot of lightning from the International Space Station. Number 2, some video I shot yesterday in Chicago. And now we're going to take a look at one of these videos, or maybe 2, a little bit more closely, depending on what meteorologist Nick Walker and storm tracker Jim Cantor want to look like. Any of those take you want to take a closer look at?
Well, we know that the Stowe was a wall cloud developing tornado. All right, and we had 4 confirmed tornadoes in northeast Ohio yesterday. All these under 30,000 feet. So all you need to have is that shear. You don't need to be 60,000 feet to get a tornado.
Yeah,
Thunderstorm.
this is EF0, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we had
tornado.
damage to at least 5 homes.
We did have damage, and that was a scary situation because they just developed all of a sudden.
And from here, it doesn't look like much, but you can really see that it looks like something is trying to develop there.
No, and it's really weird. Sometimes these things don't come all the way down to the ground, but and we don't see them all the way to the ground. But there's a debris swirl and signature even on the ground.
Right.
So it's hard to see over those trees. We can't really tell.
Really, no such
thing. But we know what happened because of the confirmation, and the Weather Service went out there and surveyed it.
Yeah, no such thing as a weak tornado. Really.
That's true. That's.
Hey,
exactly right.
Can we give some props to Chris here for that video from Chicago?
Let's do that.
That was good stuff.
Right,
good
guys,
stuff, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what this was, I was shooting, I was doing live reports yesterday in Chicago, right outside of Soldier Field, and that's actually Soldier Field there, in a marina. And I set up a time lapse to shoot every 10 seconds, and it went for a couple of hours. And it wasn't raining too hard, but what you could see the clouds going by really fast. I mean, they're going by fast because it's a time lapse, but they were really moving anyways.
Right.
You could have taken a regular camera and, you would have caught the clouds.
I just have one question. Which one is your boat?
Nice.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, and that's funny too. All right, let's take a look now at the number 1 video of the day. And this video is also in the Great Lakes, Lake Superior.
Frontal passage.
Right, some big winds here. Area of low pressure that came through, whipping up those winds.
14-foot waves, I read that they had as high as 14 feet.
Where is that on Superior?
Near Marquette?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And some people like to swim around here, I think, but not in stuff like this.
I'm thinking that wasn't going on yesterday.
Yeah, probably not.
Between the cold water and that wave action, you really limited your chances. In the rocks,
All right, so let's go ahead right now and take a look at some other amazing video that just came into the Weather Channel this afternoon. And Jim, take this away. You spoke to some people that were on the scene there.
I spoke to one of the gentlemen on the tow truck. That's not a fire truck that's parked off on the road, but this is a car that went into the ravine as they were pulling out another car. So they quickly went into rescue mode here. And Chris, honestly, if they weren't there to pull out that other vehicle, this man would have been on his own and unfortunately may have not made it. But I mean, look at it. He just got out in the nick of time before that car gets pulled into the water.
So who was the rescuer?
The rescue was the fire department.
Okay, so they were there.
Right, so they were on board with the tow team. They were looking for people that were trapped in their vehicles because so many people got trapped in this flood this morning in Memphis. People were still trapped in their cars 5 to 6 hours after the event. And the water, as you can see, was still high, still moving. But they were going and trying to pull this one car out. Well, they saw this one man drive in to the water, and then here comes the water, pulling the car away. And remember, this is 5 hours now after the event, at least. So the water is receding, but it's moving and it still has a tremendous amount of power. And you saw what happened.
And unlike your time lapse, I mean, that's no time lapse, that's real time. How quickly that car is sinking. Boy, that is trouble.
That was a matter of seconds.
Did you see where the window that he crawled out of wound up? On the bottom. So it would have been, unless he had one of those hammers, to get those glass-breaking hammers to get you out of that vehicle, he may not have gotten out of there.
And you're looking, and that you're talking about, he's just now getting out. The car's spinning
so watch
around.
What happens after the car spins around. It's still going
underwater,
down.
completely underwater.
It's still going down. He gets out. He gets caught in the current. Obviously, there's still a strong current. This culvert, as they were talking to me, was about 8 feet deep. So you go from the road where the tires are about 4 inches in the water from the tow truck now to about an 8-foot moving culvert.
So he's essentially like in a stream within that big body of water.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's moving. And it's got eddies in it, Chris, because the water's turning around and going up and down, and he just got out of there. I think one of the eddies took him back to the shore.
And so the rescuers, definitely the right place at the right time there.
All right, Tropical Update is coming up next. Jim, what are you going to look at?
We're going to look at Florida, and we're going to look at Odile in the Pacific. Will we see another round of moisture, which actually caused all of our flooding this week coming to the United States?
Next in the Tropical Update.
Top 5 brought to you by Breathe Right. Don't let a stuffy nose get between you and your sleep. It's your right to breathe right.
You get sick, you can't breathe through your nose. Suddenly, you're a mouth breather. A mouth breather. How do you sleep like that? You dry up, your cold feels even worse. Well, put on a Breathe Right strip and shut your mouth. Cold medicines open your nose over time, but add a Breathe Right strip and pow, it instantly opens your nose up to 38% more. So you can breathe and do the one thing you want to do. Sleep. Add Breathe Right to your cold medicine. Shut your mouth and sleep right.
How do we get a little fun in the sun for free? I stayed one time.
We stayed another time.
And now we're all staying one night free.
Great endings begin here. Right now, when you book at any of these Choice Hotels and take 2 separate trips, you earn 1 night free. Book now at choicehotels.com.
I'm Creek Stewart, Weather Channel survival expert. Every Sunday night, we're taking 3 regular guys deep into the woods.
Are you serious?
Where we'll teach them not just to survive,
make fire,
but how to truly live.
Look at this caveman.
Show yourself what you're made of on Weather Channel Survival Sundays. At 9, it's So You Think You'd Survive. Then at 10, Fat Guys in the Woods. Every Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
Are you ready?
Off the couch, into the weather.
Currently in our area, 76 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, heavy thunderstorms, low 74. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain, 80%. Friday, scattered thunderstorms, high 85. Chance of rain, 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
The manpower. The will. Mobilizing to take on the world? You don't know ARP. AARP and its foundation are taking on hunger with 29 million meals donated. Drive to End Hunger teams with local agencies to reach the hungriest among us. If you don't think Feed the Hungry when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP. Find more surprising possibilities and get to know us at aarp.org/possibilities.
California is known for its grapes, and so is my family. Our grapes ripen on the vine where the flavor's fully developed to bring the best quality fruit to your table. That's why we work with Walmart, so you get the freshest grapes available, backed by their 100% money-back guarantee.
Am I missing a deadline? Will I get there in time? Am I going too fast? Did I close the garage door? Stay in your lane. I don't think I sent that email. I should make a reservation. I thought it was clear. Okay, brake. I didn't see that coming.
Its instinct to protect leaves you free to drive. Lease the Infinity Q50 for $339 a month. Visit your local Infinity retailer.
Lowe's presents How to Make Your Guests Think They're at the Wrong House.
Told you we're in the wrong house.
Go. Get luxury for less at Alpacker Lincoln. Enjoy incredible savings on Lincoln's best-selling models, like the new 2014 Lincoln MKZ. Your choice, gas or hybrid, just $299 a month. Or a 2014 Lincoln MKS, just $379 a month. Enjoy luxury for less with bottom-line windshield pricing. Only at Alpacker Lincoln on Military Trail. And remember,
before you buy, Price Packer.
If I told you that a free 10-second test could mean less waiting for things like security backups and file downloads, you'd take that test, right? But what are you waiting for? You could literally be done with the test by now. Now you could have done it twice. This is awkward.
Go to ComcastBusiness.com/check-your-speed. If we can't offer faster speeds or save you money, we'll give you $150. Comcast Business. Built for business.
Book.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Every Sunday, a new tale of weather legend. American Supernatural. Premiering October 5th on the Weather Channel.
All right, time now for the Hurricane IQ question before the tropical update. Which hurricane were we tracking off the East Coast on September 11th, 2001? Allison, Barry, Chantal, or Aaron? And Jim?
And it was Aaron. Probably the most insignificant hurricane in terms of any kind of landfall. Remember, because it stayed offshore and unfortunately locked the Northeast into some perfect weather for an awful day. So the weather was not our friend that day. As a matter of fact, you can take a look at this satellite picture and you can see Aaron offshore here. I believe it was a Category 2 hurricane, but look back toward New York here and we'll just kind of advance that in. This is the satellite picture, the visible satellite picture that day, and what does show up obviously is the smoke and the smoke stream from the towers coming south across into New Jersey. So yeah. You got to think, Chris. What if that hurricane was closer to the coast? What would that have played a role? How would it have affected that day? Yeah. You know, but it unfortunately made weather conditions very favorable for flying that day in the Northeast. All right, let's talk about what's going on here in the Atlantic. And really two things we want to talk about. Invest 92L, what happens when it gets in the Gulf, if there is anything left to it. And also Odile, I want to talk about this because moisture has a chance of getting back into the Southwest next week. And this week, we literally watched flooding all week long, starting off in Phoenix, up into parts of Nevada, into southern Utah. Then the next day, you know, on Tuesday and Wednesday morning, we saw flooding in southwest Missouri, and then this morning it was on and toward Memphis. And yes, it's not just moisture from that tropical system, but Gulf moisture as well, and a very strong cold front that helped do this. But you know, we can't just say when systems are in the Pacific they don't impact the United States, because they do. They're adding water vapor to the air, and certainly, as was the case in Phoenix and Salt Lake City, added a tremendous amount of moisture there. All right, here's Tropical Depression 6. Interesting, Chris, when they named this a TD, there wasn't a lot of thunderstorm activity around the center. It's fired up a little bit since. The tops aren't super cold, but they're cold enough so that this may be Edouard the next time we get an advisory. So don't be surprised. It's going to be eventually, whether it's this next advisory or not, a tropical storm, potentially a hurricane by Monday. Good news for Bermuda, it stays off to the east of Bermuda. All right. We're watching, again, this broad area of low pressure north of the Bahamas here. Thunderstorms all juxtaposed to the south and west to the center because the wind shear aloft is very, very strong out of the northeast. It's at about 40 knots, so that's a pretty strong wind in the upper levels of the atmosphere. The good news is so far, most of the storms that have come in off the Atlantic have not held together and been very strong. Some of these have been 50,000 feet, like this new one that's developing, looks like east of Stuart, Florida. So keep an eye on that one. We'll see if it rolls into the beaches here in the next hour or so. Storms, though, from Tampa all the way down now offshore Fort Myers and Naples. All of these have been subsevere, but expect a wet 24 to 36 hours from Melbourne across to Naples, or Fort Myers, I should say, on southward, because we're going to have bands and bands of rain. Now, what's going to happen with this center once it comes back into the Gulf of Mexico? And really, the whole answer to that is what happens with the shear. Because we know right now it's holding it at bay. We know that thunderstorms can't develop around the center. So let's look at each day in the models here. Looks like we'll still have shear tomorrow. All right, that's good. That means it probably won't develop here. Plus, it's on land, so it probably won't do that. Now, Saturday, when it gets off into the water, the very warm water of the Gulf, that's usually a bad thing. Models start to diverge a little bit, but the shear is even stronger, as it's forecast by the models. So let's hope that verifies. We go in towards Sunday, still have some shear, regardless of which position we're in. And by the time we roll in toward Monday, here comes the next trough of low pressure into play. And we may have a little bit of a break in that shear if it's more of these southern tracks. But up into the north here, especially if it's coming into the coastline, it's not going to have anything. But right now, 30% chance of developing. That's what the Hurricane Center says with this particular storm. So TD16 is out here in the eastern Pacific, almost looking like it's a small tropical storm right now. And this is Odile, and there's the center right there. So the shear, the same northeasterly shear that's impacting our friends in Florida, is also helping to keep this storm at bay right now too, Chris, by pushing all the thunderstorms off to the south. And this is good because this storm center is very close to the Mexican coastline, and these storms could easily be up on the Mexican coastline.
That'd be
all right,
nasty.
just pounding them right now because that storm's not moving very much at all. Maybe drifting to the west at about 2 miles per hour. That's not much. So it's not going to strengthen until those thunderstorms get back over the top. You can see, as I mentioned, the wind shear coming back over. So the fact that we've gotten this big trough has pretty much squeezed that high pressure system enough to keep two systems right now at bay for a while. We'll watch next week, though, with that moisture.
Yeah, because things can change, as we know, in a hurry.
Time.
All right, thank you, Jim. And coming up next, Nick Walker's back for a look at the areas we're watching for the threat of severe weather this evening. Let you know if we need to do any additional coverage throughout the night.
Currently in our area, 76 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, heavy thunderstorms. Low 74. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain 80%. Friday, scattered thunderstorms. High 85. Chance of rain 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
I'm Nick Walker, and although the threat of severe weather is not widespread tonight, we are watching a few areas, including these thunderstorms that are moving from Virginia into North Carolina on a line right now. And look at the heavy rainfall back into the mountains of North Carolina and into West Virginia. We're watching thunderstorms, too, making their way across some of the northern suburbs of Atlanta, putting down some heavy rainfall and lots of lightning. You can hear the thunder out there. And in eastern Alabama, thunderstorms, too, could make their way on into the western portions of Georgia. We're watching thunderstorms right around Louisiana. New Orleans really hasn't seen a whole lot, but some crossing Lake Pontchartrain right now could move into the city. And East Texas seeing a lot of rainfall right now, as is West Texas for that matter, and plentiful lightning showing up too on the radar on into portions of New Mexico. Some of these thunderstorms could put down a lot of rain in a short amount of time. We'll be monitoring for the threat of flash flooding as well. Stay with us here on the Weather Channel. Weather caught on camera up next.
A once-in-a-lifetime trip almost ends in disaster. Sudden megastorms with torrential rains and violent winds. crush everything in their paths.
Like a giant had come through and stomped on the houses.
A tornado mushrooms to record-breaking size.
You have to take shelter now.
Devastating dust storms.
We should just end it and get out of here.
Fantastic phenomena and unimaginable destruction. It's all next on Weather Caught on Camera.
Oh my gosh, the people have kind of panicked.
A quest to ride a wave like no other brings surfers to Alaska. But this adventure trip is even more dangerous than anyone imagined.
It was the craziest thing I've ever done by far.
Big wave surfers like Garrett McNamara and Kali'i Mamala ride multi-story high towers of water. And incredibly, they actually feel comfortable there.
I love the feeling of just being in the ocean, being off the planet on Earth, you know, you're just out there, you feel like you're on a whole nother world.
Garrett's family moved to Hawaii when he was 11, and soon after, he began his love affair with surfing.
You fall in the water, it's nice and soft and cool and perfect temperature and sunny.
They travel the globe in search of big swells. South Africa, Tahiti, Brazil, and then one day, a new and unexpected destination makes the list. Alaska.
It's really funny what friends can talk you into doing, and I got a call from my friend Ryan Casey. He starts to tell me this idea of riding these waves produced by glaciers calving.
Calving is when a mass of ice breaks away from a glacier. Garrett and Kali'i screen a video from their friend of calving on Alaska's Copper River. What they see is both extraordinary and irresistible.
What's that behind the waves? Like, it's that ice, and he's like, that's a glacier. Then this wave reminded me of Haleiwa right here. Big 15-foot wave, brown chocolate water, just going from 15 feet to 2 feet. And I was like, oh my goodness, how do we get to do this? Let's go. Next week, I want to go.
I was instantly captivated and wanted to go see if it was surfable. This was a whole different type of wave. It's actually a tidal wave. It's a water displacement wave.
Garrett, Kali'i, a safety crew, and a camera crew travel to Alaska. They soon realize the challenges here are daunting, and that being in 33-degree water is just one of many.
When we got in the water, we all of a sudden were this cold water, debris everywhere. There's rocks, there's ice, there's sticks. If anything goes into the intake, your jet ski stops. So if your ski stops, you're going to end up right into standstill water under this 300-foot tall mountain of ice that can come off anytime and squash you.
They need to use a jet ski to get in position for the waves because the river moves too quickly to use hand paddling. It's day one surfing, and all their fears are confirmed when Garrett's first wave is almost his last.
As I let go of the rope, I start turning, I'm looking up, and all I can see is this looming 300-foot tall chunk of ice, and it's kind of shooting outwards. Can't paddle out of there, and all I was thinking is if the next one had calved around top of me, and it was really horrifying, to say the least. And I got on the ski and I said, I'm over this. I want to go home. It's not worth it.
Garrett's close call has him wanting to call it quits. He calls home.
I'm done. I don't want to go near it anymore. That night was tough, and I didn't really want to go back in. And Kaylee was like, don't worry, we'll be all right. So I told myself that I would go back, but the second I felt that I was going to possibly die, I would pull the plug.
Garrett stays.
I'm fine.
And they spend the week working out the logistics of catching waves. By day 8, they're more comfortable with the looming ice towers above them. They know that when they hear the ice moving, it's their cue.
All of a sudden, we heard it start cracking and falling.
Over walkie-talkies, they hear from their team on the riverbank.
Oh, no! Get out of there! They start radioing us. They're like, get out of there. And like, look like we're done because this thing's falling and it's about to crush on us. We're about maybe 100 or 80 yards away from the glacier. And I'm on the rope, Garrett's on the ski, and I'm like, get the hell out of here. Go. I'm like freaking out.
And then right at the right moment, I get him up, and then the glacier fully sinks, and the wave pops up, and there he is, riding it.
I didn't end up falling. I made my wave all the way down, and then I kicked out. He came and grabbed me. We were so excited. We are adrenaline junkies. I guess you could honestly say we're never satisfied at specific situations like surfing. Like, okay, you get a big one, you want a bigger one. Then you get a bigger one, then you want another bigger one.
I always surf for the rush. And after Alaska, I really couldn't get the rush anymore. No matter what size the wave, no matter where, the rush very, very rarely comes.